Dear students in Prep 3, today we will continue our algebra lessons. Our lesson today is about the study of some polynomial functions. In the last session, we studied the polynomial functions. Today we will study some types of polynomial functions. The first type here is the linear function. The linear function is the function from the first degree. Okay. We studied how to decide the degree of the polynomial. This is the highest power of its terms. Here, for example, f of x equals x minus 1. This is a polynomial function from the first degree, so it's a linear function. Also, 2x plus 1, linear function, and f of x equals 7x is a linear function. So, in general, if the function is in this form, this function is a linear function. F of x equals ax plus b. F of x equals ax plus b. A and b are numbers. Okay, a should be any number except 0, because if a is 0, that means this term will be 0. So it will be f of x equals b. Okay, so here this function is from the first degree, and we call it a linear function in the form of ax plus b. F of x equals ax plus b. A any number except 0 and b belongs to the real numbers. We call it a linear function because if you draw it, you will get a straight line. Okay? Okay. If we represent graphically the linear function, f of x equals ax plus b, it will be a straight line. And we have some properties for this straight line. This straight line intersects x at a point which is negative b over a and 0. Intersect x, it means y equals 0. So of course y will be 0. If y here equals 0, it means ax plus b equals 0. If you solve this equation, you will get that x equals negative b over a. Okay, so the point of intersection of this line with the x-axis is negative b over a and 0. Okay, also it will intersect y-axis in a point intersection with y, as we said before. It means x equals 0, so the point will be 0, and the first projection will be 0 of this point. The second projection, if you put x here 0, it means f of x equals b. So the point of intersection with y-axis will be 0 and b. If b equals 0, in this case, it will be f of x equals ax. Look at here again, if b equals 0, so I'll cancel this term. So f of x equals ax. This is also a straight line, but this straight line is a special straight line because it passes through the origin point. The origin point is 0 and 0. Okay, we will clarify this by drawing a linear function. Let's see the linear function here. Represent graphically each of the following linear functions. The first one, f of x equals 3x minus 3. To represent it graphically, I'll put some values for x, then I'll get y. Y is f of x. F of x is the same as y. The second projection, so I'll assume values for x, then I'll substitute here in this equation of the function or the rule of the function to get y. I'll get 3 points. Of course, we can draw a straight line using only 2 points, but I want to check, so I'll use another 1 point. Okay, so here I have, for example, if I put x, I'll choose negative 1, 0, and 1. You can choose any number you want, but I prefer to choose small numbers because I'll draw it. Okay, so number 1, if I have x equals -1. 3 times -1 will be -3. -3 and -3 equals -6. So the first point is -1 and -6. What about 0? Put x here, 0. So 3 times 0 minus 3. So it will be -3. So I have another point which is 0 and -3. Finally, I'll put x equals 1. So 3 times 1 equals 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. So I have another point which is 1 and 0. So I have 3 points, -1 and -6, 0 and -3, and finally 1 and 0. Okay, now it's time to draw this straight line. This is the x and y axis. The first point is -6 and -1 and -6. So I'll take -1 from here, x-axis, then go down until -6. So this is the first point. The second one, 0 and -3. This point is on y-axis because x projection is 0. So I put it here, -3. Finally, 1 and 0, 1 from x. And this point this point locates at x-axis because the y projection is 0. So this is the third point. If you are right, you will use your ruler and you will join the 3 points. You will get a straight line. So yes, now we have a straight line. This straight line has the equation of 3x minus 3. Y equals 3x minus 3. Okay, this is the straight line. Here we have another one. F of x equals 2x. We said f b equals 0. Okay, this straight line will pass through the origin point, which is 0 and 0. Okay, let's assume values for x, then calculate y to get the points. If x equals -1, -1 times 2 is -2. So this is the first point, -1 and -2. Okay, if x equals 0, in this case, 0 times 2 equals 0. So this is the origin point. What about 1? Yes, 1 and 2. So we have 3 points, -1 and -2, 0 and 0, and finally 1 and 2. Let's draw the 3 points and use our ruler. Okay, you will join them using your ruler. This is the 2 axes. The first point, -1 and -2, -1 from x and -2 on y. -1 and -2. Okay, this point is 1 and 2. Also, we have -1 and -2, and finally 0 and 0. Use your ruler and join the 3 points to get the straight line. This is the straight line. Okay, so if you have a linear function, this linear function will be represented as a straight line on the xy axis or the xy plane. Okay, the second type of the polynomial function. The first type was a linear function. The second one is a constant function. The constant function is similar to the linear function, that this function also can be represented as a straight line. But in this case, f of x equals constant. F of x always is a constant. For example, f of x equals 9. It means f of 5 equals 9. F of 7 equals 9. F of 3 equals 9. F of 0 equals 9. For any value of x, the value of y will be 9. Okay, it can be represented graphically as a straight line, but this straight line is parallel to x-axis because f of x is y. So I have y equals constant, and we say that if y equals constant, this is a straight line parallel to x. If x equals constant, a straight line parallel to y. Okay, so this constant function, f of x equals constant, is a straight line parallel to x-axis. and intersect y-axis in a point which is of course 0 and the constant. The constant here is 9. So 0 and 9. Okay, the straight line here. If f of x equals 0, this is the equation of what? Of x-axis. F of x equals 0, it means y equals 0. And this is the equation of x-axis. We said before, y equals 0 is x-axis, x equals 0 is y-axis. Okay? So this is the constant function. Okay. Let's take this exercise. Represent graphically the following linear function. We have a function f of x equals -1. F of x equals constant. We said before, a constant function f of x equals -1 means a parallel, yes, a line, straight line parallel to x-axis because y is constant, and intersect y in a point 0 and -1. So this is, I'll draw this line parallel to x and intersect y in the point 0 and -1. This is the point 0 and -1. This is the intersection point with y. So this is the straight line. So now we have a straight line parallel to x-axis and intersect y in the point of 0 and -1. Okay, the degree of the function. Okay, the degree of any function is the greatest power, but here we don't have x. So this function is from 0 degree. Okay, because x power 0 is 1. So I'll imagine that we have x power 0 here. Okay, f of 5, f of any number is -1. So f of 5 also will be -1. Okay, f of 2 plus f of -2. F of 2 is -1. F of -2, -1. -1 and -1, -2. Okay, so the image of any point or f of x for any value of x will be -1. So here we have f of 2 and f of -2. F of 2 will be -1. F of -2 also will be -1. So I have -1 plus -1, which is -2. What about f of -x? Yes, also -1. Okay, so today we studied two types of polynomial functions. Linear polynomial function, first degree, in the form of f of x equals ax plus b, and this is a straight line. This straight line intersect the x-axis and the point, and also it can intersect y-axis and x-axis. If we have a straight line f of x equals -1, this is a constant function. If I have a constant function, I'll get a straight line parallel to x. Okay, that's all about our session today. We will study more polynomials next session. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have understand. See you next session. Thank you and goodbye.